loosen yourself up. This is gonna be a good one. One of the biggest hurdles most people face in their fitness journey is encountering injuries. I've been training for 8 years. I've had one major injury and it taught me a lot. They say everyone has lots of problems until they have a health problem and then they only have one. It's the same with an injury. You can be struggling with various areas of your training, but until you have a serious injury, you don't realize how blessed you are to work out without injuries. What I'm gonna do today, if you give me 4 or 5 minutes, I'm gonna break down my bulletproof strategies that have allowed me to avoid injuries ever since I had my first injury. Since then, I've not been injured since, and I've trained more or less every day with very high intensity. Let's fucking do it. My first point is a mindset point. Don't worry, my other points are all practical, but you've got to get this out of the way first. A key learning point, particularly as you get older with your training, is listening to your body. Your body's going to give you little indicators, little signs that things aren't quite as they should be before you get a major injury. The one injury I did have was a damaged rotator cuff. And the thing about that is, my body gave me plenty of warning signs leading up to it. I'd feel little niggles on my shoulder, I'd have a bit of tightness in my chest, lots of minor indicators that if you know what you're looking for, warned me my rotator cuff was in jeopardy, right? So as you get more experience with training, learn to feel what normal muscles working out feels like. As you have that more experience, you'll start to realize when things don't quite feel as they should. And that's where you need to be extra vigilant with things like form and look out for things like form breakdown, because that's when injuries can occur. This leads me directly into point number 2, which is what to do when you feel that strange feeling or unusual feeling. And this all ties into the ego, right? The way I see it, you can approach the gym 2 different ways. Number 1, you approach the gym with an ego. You're there to lift heavy weight, you want to impress people, you want to be the biggest, best version of yourself. Number 2, you approach the gym with a purpose. You're there to build muscle, build your physique, also build your character a little bit. When you leave your ego at the door, you can respond appropriately to the warning signs your body gives you. Let's take my rotator cuff, for example. For me, it was a bench press that did it. Had I not had an ego, when I unracked the bench press and felt a little weirdness in my shoulder, I would have racked the weight and moved on to something else. But because A, I didn't listen to my body, and B, I had an ego with my training, I decided to push through it because I'm the man, right? Lifting a heavy bench press. And what do you know? I hurt myself. So when you feel those warning signs from your body, you need to listen. And the best thing you can do is either stop training or move on to something else. If it feels majorly wrong, stop training. You're done for the day. Give your body at least a few days to recover because something's not quite right, but it's not major enough yet. So stop, just stop training. If it's just a certain exercise that doesn't feel quite right, oftentimes you can move on to something else. Let's say bench press feels a bit funky, maybe move on to some flies. Nice and light, make sure everything's moving as it should. You can work around the injury, you don't have to completely stop unless it feels quite bad. My third tip is to employ something I call feeler sets. So at the start of every exercise, I will always do one set with very moderate weight, the kind of weight that I could almost do for infinite reps, maybe like 15, 20, 25 reps. And I do that for about 15 reps. Now I approach this set very differently to my working sets. This set, my aim is to get my body used to and comfortable with the movement. So when it comes time to push myself, I can do so safely without injuring myself. That looks as follows. First couple of reps of this feeler set are gonna be a reduced range of motion. Let's say I'm doing chest flies. I'm not gonna go all the way down. I'm not gonna squeeze really hard at the top. I'm slowly increasing the range of motion. So by about the 4th or 5th, I have full range of motion, but very controlled. As I said, weight is super light for this. It's there in the name. You're just trying to feel out the movement, make sure it's not gonna injure you, get your muscles nice and prepped for the actual hard work that comes later. Let's do a quick recap in case you've forgotten. Number 1, you're gonna listen to your body. If it tells you something's wrong, fucking listen. Number 2, if something's wrong, act on it. Either stop training or move on to a different exercise. Number 3, start every exercise, I don't care how far through your workout you are, every exercise with a feeler set. This isn't for muscle gain, this is for muscle preparation and longevity. Now, let's talk about stretching and warm-ups. I have always been a fan of doing things like shoulder mobility before working out. You get mixed reviews about this. Some people say it's a waste of time, some people say it's not. All I'll say is this. Ever since I started doing some basic shoulder mobility exercises, I never feel pain in my shoulders and I've never been injured again. It could be a coincidence, but I don't really believe in coincidences, so shoulder mobility has helped me a lot. Incorporate something like that into your workout if you feel the need. Stretching. I'm a big fan of stretching early on in the workout and then at the end of the workout. I tend to do a mixture of dynamic and static stretching depending on what feels nice at the time. Pretty much if any muscle feels overly tight, I make sure to stretch it out. Being pumped is good, right? Having a pumped bicep is good. But when it becomes too pumped and it's too sore, you need to start stretching it out a little bit. This next point is very similar to my feeler set point, but it's worth saying again. I'm double stressing this, particularly for you young guys, because as you get older, I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm older than I once was. As you get older, you need to warm up more, okay? Those warm up and feeler sets are gonna be almost more important than your actual sets. Don't be walking straight into a gym and maxing out on a machine. It sounds like common sense, but when you're young, you feel feel immortal, you feel like you can do anything you want. That is gonna lead to injury. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but fast forward 5 or 10 years, I promise you it will. You can't train like that and expect to have longevity in the gym. We're already putting our body through undue stress, right? The average human physique is not designed to weight train 5 or 6 days a week. It takes a toll on your body. You need to warm into your workouts. The final piece of the puzzle is recovery. Again, something super neglected when you're young. You need to incorporate it more. That means things like rest days, getting enough sleep, and eating the right nutrients. Those 3 things are gonna help your body rest and recover. So if you do have little niggles, it can treat them and it can fix them. The body's very clever, all right? It's self-healing. So if you give it time, nutrients, rest, it will fix your injuries and it will stop them ever happening. The more delicate and careful you are with your body, the longer you're gonna last in the game, I promise. It doesn't have to be a rite of passage that everyone gets a shoulder injury. It doesn't. I know plenty of people that looked after their bodies from the very beginning who were never injured at all. Since I got my injury, I've looked after my body, have never been injured since. If you want long-lasting results and results that persist as you develop more of a successful career, you start to have a family, you need to prioritize keeping yourself uninjured. Apply these steps, repeat them, and be gentle with your body. Push it to the extreme once you're warmed up, sure, because we want those results, but make sure you're warmed up and make sure you're giving yourself adequate recovery afterwards. Bit of a quick video today. One of the most common questions I get. We've covered how to prevent injuries. Soon I'll have a video on how to treat injuries and recover from them. So if you're interested in that or you got some value from this video, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.